La ringrazio, Segretario, per il suo intervento e cedo immediatamente la parola alla signora Manda Zand Ervin, fondatrice e presidente dell'Alleanza delle Donne Iraniane. Grazie.
Ladies and gentlemen, especially Minister Maria Rosaria Carfanco, thank you very much for this important conference and for the opportunity given to me to bring the voice of Iranian women into the world through this very important conference. The women of Iran have been at war with the Islamic clerics establishment for at least 150 years. They fought for the custody of their children who are given to the father at the moment of birth. They have fought for their humanity, repudiating the idea that they are created by the Allah for the pleasure of men and as the incubator for their children. They have fought for their girl children, treated not as human beings, but as merchandise for trade, selling them to old men. 32-year-old Ayatollah Khamenei married a 10-year-old Batul. They have fought against the total domination of the Islamist establishment in every town, village, and the city, which rules over the life and death of every woman and girl. The Iranian women's war against Islamic clergies continued until they finally succeeded in 1968 to become sovereign humans out of the clergy black boxes. During the 1970s, Iranian women were senators, truck drivers, Miss Teen Universe, policewomen, judges, and business owners, and whatever they wanted to be. But they lost the battle to Islamist anti-woman Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979, who reestablished all the Islamic laws and unleashed the thugs and the hoodlums armed with bats, chains, and other brutal weapons to beat the women back into total submission again. For the last 30 years, the Islamic regime has waged a terrible war against the women and girls in Iran. Atefe was forced to marry a 54-year-old man at the age of 9. She had given birth to twins and was hung to die at the age of 16, accused by her husband of prostitution. She had become too old for him. Dr. Roya Touloui was arrested, threatened with the life of her children, tortured and raped in prison. Zahra Kazemi was an Iranian-Canadian photojournalist who had gone to Iran to visit her mother. She was taking pictures of the parents of the political prisoners standing in front of the dreaded Evin prison. She was arrested and killed under torture and rape. Her bones were broken, her skull was crushed. Her 80-year-old mother was forced to sign for immediate burial of her tortured body so the murder could be hidden. 14-year-old Rahim was hungry and took a bite of a sandwich. He was punished by 80 lashes for eating in Ramadan, the month of fasting. He died somewhere between the first and the 80th flog. Leila Mafi was hung to death at the age of 17, slowly pulled up by the crane to suffer in dying also. She was raped, accused of having illegal sex. Leila was a mentally retarded child. When Taraneh Mousavi was arrested last month after the uprising, she was 19 years old, beautiful woman, full of all her life's hopes and dreams. The Islamic regime left her charred body on the side of the road after they brutally raped her on the verge of death. They burned the tortured body to hide their crimes against women. Neda became the symbol of the Iranian uprising for freedom and equality, because her young heart became the target of a bullet by a regime that considers the value of a woman's life less than the value of the testicle of the man. Today, many of Iranian women in Iran are in Iran's prison, and the whole world knows what is being done to them in those prisons. Those who aren't in the literal prisons are in the prisons of Islamic Republic, in the prisons of their own country, in the prisons of their home, and in prison of their victimhood. The people of Iran, especially the women, have proven to the world that this regime is not their legitimate government. There is no doubt left that they want equal rights, freedom, and a democratic government. They expected the international community, especially Western women who are in power, to stop making deals with the fascist gender apartheid regime in Iran. They were let down. Our governments and our corporations need to commit to the fact that human rights is global. They must put humanity ahead of economic interests. The UN Commission on the Status of Women must admonish and punish the governments who practice gender apartheid. UNIFEM should not accept checks from the gender apartheid regime, which compromise their authority. Its job is to defend the women against the governments which discriminate against them. They should not sacrifice the women of Iran to get funding for the charity work in other countries. We have ended racial apartheid in South Africa. We have ended communist dictatorship in East Europe. It is now long past time for the international community to end gender apartheid in Iran and elsewhere. And I thank you.
Grazie.